Welcome to the Runna Podcast. I'm Coach Anya, an international marathon runner.
And I'm Coach Ben, and one of the co-founders of Runna.
Each week we'll be deep diving into the world of running, speaking to some inspiring individuals about their running journeys.
Runna is the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide. We help hundreds of thousands of people all over the world train for any running goal. And if you want to try out Runna for free, you can try it out using the code Runna Podcast, all one word, to get 2 weeks of free access to the Runna app.
On today's podcast, we have the incredible Josh Patterson, a friend and supporter of the Runna business. Some of you may know him for the incredible challenges he's completed, such as his latest 76 marathons in 76 days around the 76 cities of Great Britain.
So Josh, we have a lot to cover, some amazing fitness challenges, amazing stories, and a lot that I guess I've been very close to. But the thing I'd love to start with is, where did your love of fitness start?
But that's a really good question. Firstly, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. This is such a surreal moment for me, where my running coach of past and someone I met in Thornham, a village where I'm from, is now interviewing me on a podcast. It's amazing. So thank you so much. Where did my love of fitness come from? I think it was just one of the only things I was really good at, to be honest, when I was much younger. And it was the one place where I felt at peace and just absolutely loved it. And so for me, it was just like the continuation of that. And what I've loved, I guess, is kind of like the transition in my love for sport. And, you know, started out with rugby. Athletics was something that I was very good at. I was a champion with multiple different things, 100, 200, long jump. But to actually get into distance running was something that I never thought would be possible. But here we are.
So you did rugby at a relatively serious level. And when did that transition in venture into challenges, should we say?
Well, I basically committed 4 years of my life to become a professional, to realise that I was terrible at rugby. I was going to say SHIT, but you can't really swear on these podcasts. And then after that, I found I was a little bit lost after rugby. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I think what makes me so happy about this year, last year, and the year before that in particular, I think since COVID, is that it's re-injected people's love for sports. I feel like when we leave school, so many people just stop doing the things that they love, I guess, because if it's not a competitive level, to just sign up to clubs and stuff, I think also it's quite intimidating. And I would say I was probably one of them after rugby. So to have found running and the community of running, I just feel so grateful.
And before running, there was things on 2 wheels.
Yeah, there was.
Talk us through that. I want to start with that because I think that's maybe what demonstrated that you can do anything, but also I think built the resilience that then you've taken into the running.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? So I think where I'm probably kind of unique in this space, for me, it really comes down to who I'm inspired by. We're all so lucky now in our fields that we get to meet people from different walks of life every single day. And all it can take is just a single conversation. And from that, for me, it can kind of ignite an idea. And there are so many different ways in which we can raise money and awareness for different individuals or specific charities. And I basically spent 2 years in a wheelchair, inspired by my friend who was, paralyzed from a motorbike accident. And, that really kind of was the catalyst for everything that I've done up to this point. It was such a huge inspiration. And I'm just so happy that I had the opportunity to do that, because I think it's actually changed the direction in which my life has gone entirely. And, on a positive note, he is actually walking again, even though he's told he wouldn't, which is a story in itself. But I think just by spending that much time in the wheelchair, I think gave me a huge amount of gratitude for the physical body that I have. And I think it's certainly given me a strong foundation going into any challenge mentally, knowing how far I've physically had to push myself to get to where I needed to be. And probably has been, I guess one of the reasons why the running challenges have been so successful.
And so to support Tano, what did you do in the wheelchair for everyone who doesn't already know?
Yeah, so the first challenge was Berlin. So I believe, don't quote me on this, but I kind of say this to people that I think I'm the first able-bodied person to have done Berlin in a wheelchair, but I may have just made that up. If I have just made that up, then you can message me and let me know.
You did that with Tano?
I did that with Tano. So basically from his hospital bed, he called me up and he just said, "Hey man, I've just been told that I'm never going to walk again. The accident is actually much worse than we thought. I've shed a few tears, but I've been thinking about my little girl, and I'm determined that one day when she eventually gets married, I'm going to be the man who walks her down the aisle. So I've signed myself and you up for a challenge because I need to give myself a focus to keep going." And I was like, great. And I thought he essentially wanted me to push him in a wheelchair doing the marathon, but it turns out he wanted me to do it with him in one. So I was fortunate to get a wheelchair, and it was a really surreal experience kind of commuting in and around London, trying to get used to it and identifying maybe the daily struggles that he'd go through. And Berlin Marathon was kind of the first challenge, which was absolutely crazy. And to be fair, I ended up running 10K before that marathon because we didn't see in the small print that you have to wear helmets for health and safety. So I ran a 10K, then pushed myself in the wheelchair for the entire marathon. And I, rather than partying afterwards, I fell asleep in the club and got kicked out, basically. But yeah, and then after that, I loved it. And that's where the idea of John O'Groats to Land's End came into the mix, where I don't think anyone able-bodied had ever done that before. But the actual world record for it, I think, was 21 or 22 days or something. So I ended up completing that in 19 days. And physically and mentally, that was just unbelievably taxing.
I mean, I've ran in marathons and events where you've seen the wheelchair athletes having to push up even a small hill. And it's during the amazing roar that they get, during the amazing support they're getting for a small hill. I can't imagine what it's like to cross some of the actual big hills that you'll have done in that challenge. What was that like?
I don't know if you can identify this with your cycling, because actually when you're on the bike, right, the risk that you are incurring every day, not just like with your own actions, but external ones too, you are literally just one simple decision away from potentially a catastrophic accident, to be honest. And I think with the wheelchair, it was a surreal experience where you almost just have to accept death, if that makes sense, in the sense that when you're going down a hill at potentially 40, 50 miles an hour, all it takes is a single pebble or a pothole and that chair's flipping. And then the outcome can be anything. I mean, so many wheelchair athletes have PTSD from flipping their chair because if you can imagine, it's absolutely nothing to protect the body. So you're just sliding for God knows how long, and literally parts of their body are just being completely torn apart. And I think that was what was crazy for me, is that I was so fortunate throughout Joggle until the last point not to have flipped. And then annoyingly, when we got to kind of like the Cornwall area, the weather was so wet and I ended up flipping the chair. I think it was six times or something in the last few days, which was nuts. But I'm grateful it was towards the latter part rather than at the beginning, because that would have just got into my head, to be honest.
And so all the while raising money, doing both these challenges, and then something lights a fire in you to think you want to do these on your own legs.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, basically after 2 years of being in the chair, anyone that kind of followed that journey or my team will know that, we naturally have sensation in our legs, and, it's kind of abnormal to be in, especially a race chair where you're essentially just sat on your legs. And so it started to have physical effects on me, especially on my lower back. So, my team were like, it's amazing what you're doing. We can come back to it. But for now, it's probably best that you actually just invest your energy into something else to just kind of recalibrate the body a bit. And that's when I kind of just was thinking about the one thing that I hated, and it was running. I couldn't stand it. I didn't like really doing it. I didn't really run a whole lot, to be honest, probably the odd 5K here and there, thanks to my old housemate Jojo, who was a keen runner. And then that's when the idea really randomly came up of like, who's run a city or every city in the UK? No one. Brilliant. So that's where we'll go. But if I'm going to do this, I'm going to need someone who's as mad as myself to achieve that. So I put out like a little message, and then that's when a guy called Ben Parker came into my life.
Yeah, so one of my friends who followed Josh and all these amazing challenges suggested we get in touch, and I think within 24 hours of that message, Josh is at my flat in Richmond and discussing trying to run a marathon in every city in the country. And at the time, you'd never run further than 12K, I think it was, or thereabouts.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, your face, mate, was just worth $1 million, to be honest. It's just, it was so surreal.
The thing that made it even funnier was, at the time, there were 69 cities in the country. So not only did Josh want to run a marathon in every city in subsequent days. He also wanted to call it the Great British 69. And this was on meeting this crazy man who's now business partner, and we've done some really wild and wacky things together. But alas, we didn't get started on that straight away because COVID happened and we couldn't travel around the country. So what did you do to raise money and inspire people in the lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, so we were all obviously going through a really difficult time at that point, and we'd been training for something pretty monumental, and I think it was a case for me, and you'll get this, and so will many when they've set their minds on something, to not then be able to disperse that energy. I was like, I can't, like, this is my worst nightmare. Like, we're training for 69 marathons, and now the government are telling us, understandably so, we can go for a casual walk or a 5k run. And I was just like, what am I going to do with this? I can't just park this. And when I heard that people were struggling, I was like, well, we can still help people in some capacity, but what can we do? 5Ks aren't really going to draw the attention. So that's when I went out and measured my patio at like 1 a.m, and I think it was like 14 feet. It's probably a bit longer, but my olive trees were quite big at that time. They were kind of overhanging. And that's when I kind of contacted you and was like, I've got this idea. And I think what's good about you is that you're crazy enough to support something like this, but also I think logical enough to just rein me in when needed. And I think, there are times where there were times where you'll basically put me first, which I really appreciate. And there were concerns being like, okay, well, how many loops are there per lap? I think it was like 80. And you're thinking, okay, well, there's 26 of these. And then it was the idea of doing the consecutive marathon. So the ambition was to do 5 and 5, right? So when we got...
So this is 5 marathons in 5 days running laps of his patio, which is smaller than this room.
Yeah.
So he's basically just like immediately turning around and roundabout the entire time for a marathon a day. And at the time, Josh has built up to being able to run a few marathons, but this is still a big ask.
But then the final day was the phone call comes, and I can just see Ben's face being like, and it was like, "Bud, I've got an idea. I think we should go for an ultra on this final day." And you're like, "Oh, I don't know about that." And I was like, let's just do it. If we can just maximize the money, let's go for it. So we ended up doing the 6 and 5, which was phenomenal. And again, I just think, I always say this, be naive enough to start something and stubborn enough to finish it. And I think just there was so many variables in that challenge that just, it made that challenge what it was. I think, the necessity to raise the money, the impact that it was going to have, the built up energy that I needed to disperse, it was like the perfect combination. And then weirdly, I think just seeing the reaction to that, that's where I was like, I wonder what 24 hours around that patio would be like. And again, I just couldn't get it out of my system.
You can see why he needs a bit of reining in from time to time. Like, you mean he's just done his first kind of amazing running challenge, 6 marathons in 5 days. So it was meant to be 5 marathons in 5 days, laps of his crazy patio. And within a fortnight, he's like, right, we want to do it for 24 hours.
Yeah. And then 24, I mean, and it was like, let's go for it. But the ambition with that, to be honest with you, wasn't to run distance. It was like, let's just go for 24 hours. But then actually, as it progressed, I was like, oh, I think we could actually go further here. So in total, it was 105 miles. So we got the 4 marathons, which was amazing. I think that's where there was a really amazing moment after that one where you and I sat down and we shared the beer. And actually, although that's probably not what was best for me at the time, I think that really set a benchmark of what was going to be possible when you were supporting me and kind of my ambitions within that challenge space. And again, I think for me, that was a really defining point.
And I guess after this, you've now proved that you can run 100 miles or 4 marathons in 24 hours. How do you take this onto your next amazing challenge? And we're progressing towards the end of the story, or not the end of the story, but where we're up to now, which is you do go on to do every marathon in all the cities in all the country, in the UK. But before we do, what do we do in 24 hours?
What do we do?
Well, you've got to tell me.
What did I do in 24 hours?
Too many.
What? Yeah, which one's this? Did I do another? Oh, yes. You're missing. I'm trying to think of which challenge it was.
Okay, so you've done your 24-hour patio.
Yeah, of course.
Now
sorry.
you're going to take yourself and prove what you could do in 24 hours. Now the lockdown is lifted.
I'm so broken. I don't even remember what I've done. Thank God I have you in my life. Yeah, that's where
maybe this is where I should tell the story of like what supporting Josh looks like in reality. And I need to tell this story because it does show the reason why he needed some coaching, I guess. Which is he's running these challenges. Yeah. He needs a smartwatch, so we organise. Josh gets himself a really nice Garmin, and whenever we're running, I'm literally on his arm, clicking go, clicking stop, uploading it to Strava. And he rings me up one day and he's like, oh, can you remind me how to, like, I don't know, start my watch? And I'm like, yes. Like, what can you see? And he goes, there's 4 numbers on my arm. 1431. What's that mean? Is it my password? No, Josh, it's the time. Anyway, so that demonstrates, I guess, the level of support, the random WhatsApp messages of, like, how do I tie my shoelaces? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we recap. You're now lockdown's lifted. What are you doing for 24 hours?
Yeah, that's where the Run for Nations came into the mix, where, again, no one had ever run, I think it was a marathon in all 4 of the UK countries within 24 hours. And that was a big, big ambition. And, you know, pitched that to you again. We started to train for that. And it was really special, actually, because I think I think in terms of physical exhaustion and pain, that was pretty bad. Because I think pretty much within the second marathon, my ankle had gone pretty much, my knee, my calf, all on the same leg. So by the time I got into the third one with you, I mean, there was a really defining moment actually during that marathon where it's pitch black and we had gone from having quite a bit of time to being considerably behind time. And it's very rare that you swear, but I think you politely just were kind of like, if you keep effing going like this, just give up now. And there was something in that moment that really triggered me where I was just like, oh my God, that was a bit of a wake-up call, because you are such a calm, collected person in those situations. But that was the first time in our relationship where it was just like, why are we here? And it just, that was the kick up the butt that I definitely needed. And tell you what, brother, like we went from being seriously behind time to like matching time. And then I think even getting like a couple minutes on top, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it makes all the difference if you're having those issues. But when I got into that helicopter, I mean, I had given every ounce of myself, and I just remember projectiling into this Sainsbury's bag in what was basically an oven of a helicopter. But you were just loving life at the front, like taking in the sights, trying to point them out to me in the crowd. And it was just like, it's just the wrong time, B. The energy was so different.
So Josh started these 4 marathons in 24 hours in Ireland, runs a marathon in the heat of the summer, starting at midday, runs a pretty hot, sweaty marathon, gets on a helicopter, flies to Scotland, runs a marathon, struggling with his leg a little bit, but crosses the border to the north of England, which is when I joined him, shortly before midnight. So we're slightly ahead of schedule. And as Josh says, we kind of like start strong, slowing down to the point where we're actually now behind schedule. Mm-hmm. Speeds up phenomenally. We get to the helicopter in time. And I get to sit in the cockpit. Mm-hmm. And there was like a kind of dividing wall. And then Josh is in the back with the physio and videographer. And the pilot had to click a button for us to be able to like hear what they're saying on the microphones in the back. So like usually when we click the button and it's like ready for liftoff, everything good, like great, and then unclicks the button and all I can do is talk to the pilot. Yeah. So I'm like, all good, and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed now. It's like doing 5 a.m. flying over. Yeah. I wake up as we're coming into land, having had this like beautiful experience in the front of this luxury helicopter, turning around and there's just like chunder everywhere. Physio looks like he's been traumatized. Probably all the camera equipment's broken. And then we literally have to like carry Josh out of the helicopter. And then like I remember literally seeing Josh's mum's face waiting for us in Wales, who literally looked like we've abused this her son. But anyway, Josh gets on with it and runs a marathon, and we finished with 13 minutes spare.
It was
it was 23 hours 47, wasn't it?
Something like 46 minutes.
Yeah. There wasn't much time spare, but to the wire,
so close. What I remember really well though, like I could barely walk, and they strapped me up, and I just got shoved. Essentially, there was no empathy, so I just go for it. And I remember like halfway through the marathon, when I was probably at my worst within that, I come round the corner. My sister, who's a yoga instructor, is giving Ben a yoga lesson.
I needed to limber up. I've done a marathon and a half and not been to bed.
This is so surreal, but like that moment, it was kind of nice because then I could just kind of laugh at that and distract myself away from it. But, you know, again, collectively as a team, like, you know, we had built such an incredible legacy to that point in terms of what had been accomplished. And again, just kept setting the benchmark of like potentially what was next. But, you know, for us, I think we never get carried away with these ideas. Like there always has to be a why and a purpose behind it. It's not just about a bunch of people coming together, wrecking themselves or trying to impress or entertain people unnecessarily. You know, we are genuinely trying to impact the lives around us. And that was a challenge that you know, I was incredibly proud of. And to bring all 4 nations in that mean so close to me was incredibly special, you know. And I think when you sit down, or we've sat down so many times before, and you pitch these ideas and you kind of mull them over, to actually see it executed is like, it's so special and so surreal at the same time.
I mean, that was definitely the thing for me, which is that I've been such a big part of the journey, but he's doing these challenges in the lockdown and I can't be there with him. So to watch him, I think, finished You'll Never Walk Alone, Josh's kind of Liverpool anthem that really means something to him, was a very surreal moment. So the last one to date, it won't be the last of them ever, but the last one of these big, amazing challenges so far was the culmination of the run around the UK. Josh named it the Run for 1 Million. Yeah. And at this point, the Queen's had her Jubilee and made 7 more cities. So the 69 kind of got thrown out, and now it's the 76. Yeah. Talk us through what this was.
So yeah, the most recent one, which, you know, for me, I think was possibly the biggest reaction to any challenge I've ever done was Run for 1 Million. And, you know, although I fell considerably short on the target of 1 million, I think in total we raised, I think it was just about 400k, which for me, I think the most I'd ever raised for charity was about 30. So on a personal level, the impact that we were going to make with Samaritans with that money was phenomenal. I think we would have basically funded all the branches for an entire month, which was so special. But again, it leaves that hunger, just wanting to continue. It's one of the biggest ambitions in my life is to raise 1 million for charity. So it's kind of nice that there's more to do. But in terms of the reaction from the general public, it's never been bigger. It was just so unbelievably humbling to go to each and every one of these cities and have so many people from different walks of life coming and supporting, running, walking, just talking, whatever it might be. And yeah, I mean, the ambition with that, as you said, was to become the first person in history to run the marathon in all 76 cities. And again, it was about unifying the 4 nations. I think there's such a divide right now in this world. And, you know, things like this really do remind people of unity and how nice it is just to like connect and support one another and just be positive. And, you know, running consecutive marathons it's a really unique experience because there's just no formula really how to train for something like that. I mean, you'll get this, guys, with your training. Like, it's every ambition you have, I guess, is completely different. Just because you run a phenomenal marathon doesn't mean necessarily that you're a great 10k runner. I don't know, it's all about getting your timings right. And so the strategy for that was going to be something very unique and different. But, you know, I think ultimately we just wanted to involve as many people as possible, as much as we wanted to raise the money for charity. And, you know, the finish line on the final marathon in London, I'm kind of skipping obviously a lot of marathons here, but, you know, the final one, just when we finished at Buckingham Palace, I can't describe that feeling. When we were running down the Mall with all those people, I mean, to start the challenge off with, I think, with one person running with me in Inverness, and then when we finished with literally hundreds, and my friend Josh, speaker on his back, you know, blaring out unbelievable music, you just can't describe that feeling. And I think that's why it's so exciting with Runna and with you guys, with your own ambitions right now, you know, how running is growing, because so many people in their own right are going to experience that feeling in some capacity. Might not be 76, but like the London Marathon, whatever the event or race is that you sign up for, like, I can't wait for somebody to experience that.
And I think like skipping over 76 marathons isn't doing it justice. I think like we all know how hard doing one marathon is. Yeah. And for those who are training towards it, it's this incredible goal. And to run a marathon every day for a week, and then for a month, and then to be 2 months in where you've been on the road, traveling around the whole country, running with all these different people, running a marathon every day, it is an unimaginable challenge. And I think you did such an amazing job of showcasing it with a daily video. And I would have every one of my friendship groups, my family WhatsApp chats pinging, being like, the video's up. And I think it just truly inspired and connected everyone with this unbelievable challenge. And I would come and join you on, I don't know, day 40. And then I would go back and basically work on Runna and join you 20 days later for another marathon. And like, to think that doing every day, we've been turning up to work, having a weekend and doing some training, doing some social life. Josh would wake up, run a marathon, recover, drive to a new place, run a marathon every day. And being away from family and life, I think that is the sacrifice, which is why I guess you've inspired so many people and been able to raise so much money.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, people ask me about this, like, why do you do it? And then sometimes they almost see it as like a negative. And what they need to understand is, like, we do it because we love it. Like, I've got such an active mind. And weirdly, when I'm in some of the most stressful environments, I'm at my most peaceful state, because it's the simplicity of it. I had to just wake up, put my trainers on, eat my breakfast, run this marathon, connect with some cool people, pack up, we move to the next city and we go again. And I know some might be like, that sounds really like basic way of describing it, but that was just the reality of it. And, you know, like I said, I'm very passionate about the why, which is to help people who are struggling with their mental health because of my own struggles. You know, and life is short. I think, you know, Tano's accident was just such a wake-up call for me that, you know, tomorrow is not promised and life can change. And so whilst this body is functional, I'm going to make the most of it each and every single day, and long may it continue. You know, but it was testing, you know, the weather conditions, the certain cities that you go to, you know, your own mental state, you know, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into that. But ultimately, I think the tougher the experience is, the greater the impact that it can have, just not on yourself, but, you know, with the ambitions that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Amazing. I guess alongside this amazing journey of everything you've achieved,
you know, you've missed one, by the way. You know, you've missed one challenge. So what Ben hasn't mentioned here is me having to do a 250k ultra in Sri Lanka, but that wasn't the challenge. The challenge was the sleep deprivation because of his snoring every single night. The anxiety of sharing a tent with Ben, knowing that he sleeps instantaneously and the snoring doesn't stop, makes that challenge so much more
I think just for
difficult.
clarification, I don't snort all the time. I think I was very exhausted and in hot Sri Lanka running an ultramarathon and then snort a lot. But anyway, sorry for subjecting you to that piece, and hopefully we don't have to sleep in too many hot and sweaty tents in Sri Lanka anymore.
I'm all for it.
One piece of the journey that we've kind of missed is that at some point in time, we get started with Runna. And the first person to believe in me and in my business partner and our business partner, Dom, is you. You invested, you've supported us from day one. Why did you want to be a part of that journey? And what is it about Dom, me and Runna that meant you wanted to come on this huge journey?
So if I could give some advice to someone, I think it's always be mindful of what's in front of you. Because once that moment's gone, and sometimes it can be forgotten, you may have missed out on the best opportunity in life. And, you know, there were so many moments, I think, within our journey where I've come to you with this idea of these challenges, and I needed coaching because I didn't know what I was doing. And everything that I've described in this podcast prior, you know, the support, the synergy, you know, the equal ambition is what helped me strive and succeed in what I was doing. And at that time, you know, when we were chatting on the track and stuff, like, you know, there were coaches and, you know, certain coaches may have had platforms, but there was nothing on a large scale that could cater for a lot of people. And, you know, just when that materialized, and obviously at the time Run Buddy came into the mix, there was a gap in the market, wasn't there? But I think the synergy as well, it was like, right, Dom comes from a tech background and is phenomenal at that. Ben can orchestrate the best plans and, like, he preaches what he does. What value, if I come on board with this, could I offer? Which was, you know, at the time, I think that the creative side of things and the challenges were an opportunity to showcase the work that we were doing together. And it was just a no-brainer. I mean, this was pre-COVID, to be honest with you, when this all kind of started to materialize. And we never really, I guess, could appreciate actually how much running was going to blow up. And it has, you know, to the scale that it's at now. And, I think the reason why I came on board as well was you have to understand the individual. Your ambitions with this business were not to buy materialistic possessions. It wasn't an ego thing. It was your love and passion for the sport. And I guess the desire to help so many people. It's amazing when you wake up and you know the work that you're doing impacts the lives of those around you. And it was just an absolute no-brainer. And you know, although I'm a number of years older than both Dom and yourself, I've learned so much from you being a part of this business and being subjected to your work ethics that have made me a better person in so many ways. And, you know, this will forever be one of the proudest, I guess, experiences of my life, and just seeing this grow, but also seeing you guys flourish. I mean, for those of you, like, even the fact that we're sat here right now doing this podcast, you know, when we first started this, Ben would feel relatively uncomfortable in front of camera and wasn't necessarily the best public speaker. But the fact he's hosting this podcast with Anya now, you know, is testament to his growth too. But there's just so many individual stories like that, like the people that you hire and you bring into the team, and, you know, seeing their confidence grow and how they're flourishing within it. And, you know, the likes of bringing on, you know, Anya, who her story's just so remarkable, and just how many people she's inspiring around the world. It's the only thing I can describe this is like, this is like every challenge I've done bottled up in one, but the feeling just doesn't go away. Like every day it's phenomenal. And the most exciting thing about it is that just you can't see an ending to it. This can only ever continue to grow unless one day somebody just wakes up and goes, running's banned.
Well, I think that's the case. So like everything that you've done, which is inspiring the world to make people healthier, happier, and support them on their mental health journey, Runna can do that in a physical way, which still supports the mental journey. And I think, there's no chance in hell that we'd be where we are today without you. So all of our happy Runna customers out there, owe a big thanks to Josh for supporting us from day one.
My top tip today is on pacing your run sessions. Hitting the paces in training can feel quite hard, but the more practice and experience you have, the easier it will become. To start off with, I'd recommend building into your sessions, starting off more slow and nice and controlled, and progressing the effort. Starting controlled so you can finish nice and strong.
We should segue into slightly less serious conversation and demonstrate the fun character behind the serious man and all these amazing challenges. So do you want to kick off this or that?
Yeah, so I've got a few this or that's which we can discuss. The first one is, would you rather constantly smell a pre-race portaloo throughout an entire multi-day race, or never be able to shower after working out again?
So just one race smelling a portaloo?
No, for every race.
Every race, ever.
You literally cannot stop smelling this smelly portaloo, or you never get to shower after your gym.
I don't think there's much worse than a pre-race portaloo.
I don't think there's much worse than smelling all the time.
I would say, I would say I'd rather wash, to be honest with you.
Josh is also a very, very well-groomed man. Yeah. He makes my lack of fashion look even worse because Josh is fashionable, well-groomed.
I would say washing for sure. I mean, I stopped at a couple of those portaloos at London Marathon recently, and they were criminal.
I also, while I'm not the most groomed, I think I would also choose to regularly shower.
I think you'd have to, yeah.
I feel like there's a few areas of life where that might be a little inconvenient.
I feel like you guys need to materialise this. Why don't we actually put it to the test?
What, just run alongside Anya with a smelly portaloo?
We should do a case study. Let's get whoever the two employees are that are lacking in ability right now, that's their punishment to improve it.
Well, do we have to send someone home with the other to like ban them from showering ever?
Yes, you can't wash for a week and the other one's got to smell a portaloo. I don't know how you're feasibly going to make that happen, but...
It might make you run faster because then as soon as the race is over, then you're allowed to smell fresh air.
Yeah. Okay, next one. You have an unpickable wedgie every time you run, or you're never able to use headphones again.
See, I don't know if you know this, but one of my traits is my bum physically can't get wedgie, so that doesn't count for me.
Why would Anya know that?
Well, I don't know.
Why would I know that?
Okay, so can a bum be unwedgeable?
So you lose your bum superpower and you have a constant running wedgie.
Yeah.
Or you
We're
never...
talking about chafing bum cheeks.
So chafing, and then what was the other one? Or...
never listen to headphones. Never have headphones on your runs.
God. Can I wear like a darker shade of pants if I'm getting a wedgie? Do you know what I mean? If I'm going on a date afterwards and I'm wearing the same pants, that could be criminal if they're white.
Yeah, you can take your pants off,
okay,
but
cool.
The whole way through the run, you've got a crippling wedgie.
I'll go for the crippling wedgie for sure. I like music too much.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, I would go the other way.
Yes, I couldn't run 24 hours without music. I'd go mad.
Also, there's a flaw in the question, which is that you could just like use a speaker.
Yeah, that's true.
So you could have no wedgie and music.
This is why I need him. I wouldn't even have thought of that.
So
that's where he comes on board.
I'm gonna run around with a very small speaker and no wedgie.
Okay, good. Okay, last one. Would you rather run forever drenched in someone else's body sweat, or sweat as much as you do running just in everyday life?
And yeah, these personal questions, or is this like? Are you just asking me your own questions?
She asked if he wants to run around in her sweat.
When you're not running, is this what you're getting up to right
This
now?
is mine and Ben's sweat.
We are from Norfolk, so it makes
Josh,
sense.
You've got mine and Anya's sweat on you whenever you run.
Yeah.
Like drenched. Or you're just sweaty all the time?
I think I'd just rather be drenched in your two sweat, to be honest.
That's nice.
Just in general,
Well,
or
yeah,
because the alternative's bad?
Well, I only have to be drenched in your sweat when I'm running. The other option, I'm not drenched in sweat.
You do run quite a lot.
Yeah, but that could be only a couple of hours, maybe, max a day on the ultra side of things. God, the 24 hours would be a
But
bit
that's
long.
my sweat. Isn't that a bit gross?
No, mate.
I have seen you.
You should see the toilet.
we
in your
have
house.
seen some funny things. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'd go for your sweat 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Comes back to having 90% of your life being well groomed, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of sweat here, Anya.
I know. Oh, bodily fluids. We're going to go on to talk about our embarrassing story of the week, and we're going to ask you for an embarrassing story, but I'm going to choose a non-poo related one.
I was almost going to say one story that we grazed over in your 76 challenge, which I'd love you to tell everyone, would be the Sainsbury's poo bag story.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind.
Because
it is
it's got poo and you're not sweat, I'm afraid.
It is very funny.
That being said, I did feel quite sweaty once,
We've done
whilst...
sweat, we've done sick,
Yeah,
we've done snot.
Yeah.
We better have some poo.
So...
Right, yeah, Josh, set the
yeah,
scene. So your camper
so
van?
We're in Wales, we're at Cardiff, and Chris Taylor, my right-hand man, him and Hannah, they're good friends, very kindly put us up for the night. So they had a spare room, I think it was 1 or 2 spare rooms. One they offered to Chris and Hannah, and then the other one I gave to the team. I'd much prefer to stay in the camper van. But when I arrived in this house, I love animals and dogs normally love me, but the Labrador despised me and for some reason just wouldn't drop it. Like, anytime I walked into the room, he'd start growling, tried to warm him up, nothing. Now, again, it was just this combination of newborn baby and the husband was a nurse and had the morning shift. So anyway, I go to the camper. They give me the key if you like. If you need the toilet or anything, you come in at any time. It's like 11 o'clock at night. Everyone's gone to bed. So I get in the camper and straight away, my stomach just goes, oh my God, you're going to shit yourself. So I'm pacing up and down this camper going, what do I do? Because the one rule we had was don't use the basically toilet in there. And also it was blocked too. So I physically couldn't. So I went to rush to the pub. Pub wasn't open. I didn't know anyone in the area. I didn't even know, we were far from everywhere. And I'm panicking going, well, I'm just going to have to go in the house. So as I put the key into the door, the freaking dog is on the other side, starts growling. He's waiting for me. So I can't physically get into this property because I am going to wake everyone up. So being mindful of the morning shift and the baby, I'm like, what am I going to do? So I literally was resorting to a Sainsbury's bag. So I lined the toilet inside the camper van and defecated in it. But the worst thing about that was that I bagged it up, forgotten about it, and then we drove to the start of the marathon the next day, and it was only when I went to go brush my teeth I saw this Sainsbury's bag and realised that there was a bag of shit on the floor. And Chris came up to me and was like, I've got a surprise for you. And I was like, oh, it's not really the time for that right now, because I was trying to get it out. So I picked this bag up, and as I go to exit, the door opens. 2 of my friends have surprised me. So they come bounding over to hug me, and I had to reach round both of their shoulders with this bag of poo and hug them. And the funniest thing about that was later on, Chris came up to me and was like, are you in a grump with me? And I was like, excuse me. He's like, you've just been really off this morning. I was like, mate, I've not been off with you. I've been trying to get rid of a bag of poo the entire morning. Told him about this story. I was just like, that's the last time we are staying at anyone's house during this challenge.
Well, there we are. That is an embarrassing poo story. Do you want to share the embarrassing story of the week?
Yeah, I'll read this out. It's quite a nice one in comparison. Okay, I had put on my running shorts that for one reason or another had not had the soap rinsed out of them before they had dried after washing. It was a hot day, sunny, and I was on a morning run. I sweated like a maniac. The run stopped about a mile from my car, and as I was walking back, I noticed foam coming out from the bottom of both of my legged shorts.
I've actually had that happen to me as well, where I washed I think I did some laundry, forgot to put it in the tumble dryer, and then when I went on my run, I foamed, and it just looks like I'm having an accident. But anyway, foamy accident.
Very good.
So I can empathise with that. But yeah, if you want to send us your embarrassing story of the week, send them in to podcast@runner.com or send us a voice note on Instagram.
Amazing. And the final question we ask all of our guests before we say goodbye is, you are naked on the start of a marathon. What 3 items, and 3 items only, are you bringing with you?
A mobile phone.
Okay.
So I can get some numbers.
Wait, so you wouldn't have brought the phone if you were clothed, but because you're naked, you now need now need your phone?
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, if you're going to get naked, and you know, you might have the onlookers like, that's a nice derriere. Can I have your number?
Nice,
I've
okay.
got my phone with me. There we go.
And that's why you didn't bring your phone to the podcast, because you're clothed.
Exactly.
Got you.
Yeah. No intention. No one wants to see this dressed. I mean, I look like a hillbilly as well today. My second item.
So you're naked with your phone.
Yeah, I'm naked with my phone.
Nice.
Am I no shoes? Nothing.
You're completely naked.
Nothing.
Yeah, you're
Wow. My second one would be a horn.
What, to draw more attention to you?
Exactly. Just in case no one's seen that I'm naked, just a little toot occasionally, just to like get them.
You can also put on
looking.
your Instagram stories with your phone.
There we go. Anya, you're working with me here. Again, I feel like this is something that Anya gets up to in Norfolk. This is interesting. And then third, this is a really interesting question.
The naked, so horn in one hand, phone in the other.
Horn, phone. Third one, I would say some glow sticks.
Why?
Just because I'll carry on from that into a nightclub just to keep the party going.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a different combo to most.
The first
Good one.
24-hour nude ultra.
Well, we'll have to take that around the 76 countries, and maybe you'll raise the million next time.
There you go.
That's what it needed. Well, Josh, thank you so much for everything that you've done to inspire the country, inspire the world of running, and for supporting us at Runna, and for coming on today's podcast.
Thank you for making me sound like the David Attenborough of running right there. I really appreciate it. The entire world. No, thank you guys. It was amazing coming on.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Runna. If you want to train for any running goal, please download the app, and don't forget you can use the code Runna Podcast for a 2-week free trial.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, follow, do all of that nonsense, and we'll be back here next week. And if you want to be featured, send us your embarrassing running story. Either send us a voice note on Instagram or send us an email to podcast@runna.com so that we can have a good laugh at your expense in Runna HQ and share it on one of the next episodes.